Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MLG World Finals. Benson joined by Puckett and Maven on the analyst desk for the upcoming game. We've got Faze Clan versus DT Esports. Guys, Faze so far have looked so strong. Puckett, they look like that team that everyone expected to see.
Yeah, Zuma, I said it yesterday. A lot of people gave me hate on Twitter. It's like, that was one of the most impressive performances we have seen in Call of Duty history.
Yep.
It was just Friday. The man was not missing any shots. If you missed his game, go back and watch him on Parliament. One of the best performances we have seen in AW yet.
Yeah, very talented individual. But going up against DT, do you see any way, Maven, that potentially DT can take this?
Does it matter what team we were really talking about in this spot currently?
Yes.
Does anyone have a chance against Faze, though? No, honestly. I mean, do I think DT has as much of a chance as just about anyone outside of Optic Gaming going up against Faze? Sure. I mean, Watson, love to watch him play. So talented. First time I saw him was at Gfinity. I think I was casting with you.
Yep.
Absolutely crushing. We saw him going off in basically every single game time. But is this something where I think he's going to be able to do that against Faze? No shot. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, historically, Faze kind of start days pretty slow. It's pretty early on for Saturday, but, you know, all of yesterday.
I think you're confusing them with Optic Gaming.
No, they do. Clay takes a while to heat up. That was a bit of a dig there at the Green Wall, mate. That's fine. That's fine. But in all seriousness, though, Clay has sometimes started off a little slow. I know all of Faze last night. Nice.
How can you start slow with
dent.
those fresh jerseys? I want one.
They look
with every
good.
player.
They started a trend.
Monday through Thursday.
They look like soccer players.
They do. They really do.
They're actually, that's what they're trying to emulate.
I'm kicking the footy ball around, right, Ben?
The footy ball.
Is that what it's called?
Oh my God. I want to
The footy ball, yes.
The footy ball, yes.
The footy ball. Thanks, Maeve.
You're welcome.
Wait, what did you say I was from yesterday? It was like
Leeds. From Leeds.
I'm from Leeds playing footy ball. Okay, that's good to know.
Highly accurate.
In terms of a game type that potentially DT could try and steal, though,
okay.
What do you kind of look at? Like, if there is a chink in the armor for Faze, where is that? Is
hard
it
point.
Hard?
Slow starts to hard point.
Okay.
Faze had to clutch up last night. You saw it in game once. And then after you get beat by Faze in the final minute, every single team that we saw on the main stage just fell apart. So you have to win that game one hard point, establish a little bit of confidence early.
It's interesting because a lot of teams have started slow. Like, we look at Denial in the game that we just casted. A little bit of a kind of slow start. At times, they could have maybe lost that game, just as had a chance of winning it. Optic Gaming have trailed in pretty much most of the hard points I've seen them play on the alpha stage at least, and all of a sudden clutched up on the final hill. Faze themselves yesterday did a very similar thing. They were trailing by around about an average of 30 points. Final hill on solo, they clutch up. So it's weird. The top teams kind of starting off very slow in these hard points. Realistically, though, Maeve, is there a chance DT steal this?
Well, I was trying to take a look. I was looking for the map list, just seeing
okay.
Which particular hard point we were going to have to kick off game one, because I think any map. God, it's so hard to say this when they have Clayster on their team, but I think any map that's going to play towards the AR is going to give DT maybe a better chance. The
Should
subs,
be Compound.
The subs of okay, if it's Compound, I think they're going to get rolled. And the subs of Faze are just too ridiculous. I mean, I haven't really seen Zuma hasn't had a bad game since March 2007. Attach has been playing out of his mind. He kind of had that little bit of a lull after a chance, but since then he's been crushing. You know, I casted 2 Faze matches last night. I think Zuma averaged about 100 kills. Almost 100 kills. He's been playing out of his mind. He really has. You know, I've said for a while I thought he was the best player in the game. Got a lot of flack, obviously, with Scump, and there's a lot of conversations to be had. But when was the last time you've seen Zuma have a bad game? I haven't seen it in forever.
The reason you'll get that flack, I think, is something that I had a big conversation on the Esports Report about, which is
stats.
You say you say best player in the game right now as opposed to best player of the year. You look at the difference between Scump and Zuma. Scump has by far and away been the more consistent player of the two across the entire year.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Zuma's
been a god throughout this entire game.
You can't disagree with that. When you look at accomplishments of the year, you can't disagree with that. Zuma right now, though, I 100% agree. I think when you put them toe-to-toe, is the better player right now. But across the year...
There's a conversation. Well, we'll debate this after the analysis desk.
Yeah. So talking about DT, though.
Okay.
Let's bring it back. Watson, coming over from the UK, had a lot of success with the European teams. He's one of the most confident players you'll ever find.
Yeah.
He is not going to be afraid of any of these guys on Faze. The question for me is he going to be able to hang with the bow? Because you said Clay starts off slow sometimes. Can he get in Clay's head early on?
Get in Clay's head? No, not at all. No one gets inside Clay's head. Clay is the mastermind of getting inside other people's heads. He's cool, calm, and collected at all times, even when he does start slow. But that's the key here. If Clay does start slow, he needs to completely take over the game. Can't allow Clay any time whatsoever to get into that rhythm. Because if Clay does get into that rhythm and you see this Faze team start rolling, that's when, honestly, this series we may as well just call it
I
now.
don't know.
It's going to be over.
You asked earlier what game type you thought they had the best chance. You know, you talked about hardpoint, but for me, I'm still thinking S&D, man. When you have Diabolic, just thinking back to Ghost, even at the beginning of this game, he is a game changer, kind of like a Fizzer, that maybe he'll have a rough respawn, but you put him in an S&D, he's good for double digits. I'm curious to see how he's going to do throughout this one.
Okay, well, map number 1 will actually be Compound, so you're going to see a lot of those close quarter gunfights. The problem that DT are going to have is Clay on this map isn't really going to be a factor anyway. It's going to be all about those SMG, so you have to look how is Zuma, how are Attach going to start.
Telling Clay you said that.
You can, dude. I love Clay. Clay loves me too. But it is going to be about those SMGs and how aggressive they're going to be. I expect to see the boys from Faze start off very hot. They were playing extremely well all yesterday. Really quick, mate, for predictions overall for the series?
Overall, 3-0, baby.
Puck it.
I want to see EMPs on this map. It's going to be a 3-0 Faze.
Okay, 3-0. Over to our casters for the game, Mr. X and TP.
Thanks, guys. Mr. X, Teep here. Going on with the guys on Faze first. Teep, on this map, though, Compound, new map added into the rotation. What are really the keys for you on this particular map?
Basically, we see a lot of the top teams on this one rock a lot of Semtexes. Fast Hand's one of the best perks in the game for that reason. Rock 8 Semtexes on some of these more enclosed hills. This first one, not so much, but we see Zuma just roaming around, starting off with that 4 streak, 5 streak, coming up with another. Good stuff from him so far, but overall in these enclosed hills, it's a more traditional style of hardpoint. You want to rotate, hold those spawns. It kind of correlates for the rest of the map, and it can get you a lot of points.
I do feel like this map plays like a traditional hardpoint map. Yeah. I think when it was added, people were worried, you know, how fast the gameplay is going to be on Compound, but now that we've seen it play for a few months, plays like a traditional kind of your Black Ops 2 style of hardpoint. You're going to see FaZe jump out to a pretty big lead here early. It's going to be a 39-1. DT trying to get some pressure on the hill. We'll actually figure out who is who on DT here shortly.
Yeah,
they're all playing on different accounts. Usually you have at least 1 or 2 that you can figure it out from, but this time, don't have anybody. So we'll figure that out shortly. Let you guys know who is doing work for DT. But right now, it is all FaZe. I mean, they literally could probably not have that much more of a lead. I mean, just 1 second on the board for DT, and we'll talk a little bit about big picture. In the series, what do they have to do to really just kind of contend, give the guys on FaZe some trouble? Like, how would you give FaZe trouble just in general as a player, you know, going against them? Because we haven't really seen a lot of teams, you know, really challenge them at all.
Right. All the teams I've seen have success versus FaZe, especially in hardpoint, are the ones that rotate early and get their quality tight setup in the hill. FaZe has trouble when Zuma and Attach can't push out, get those initial single or double kills back to back, introing up the map. Basically, shut down Attach and Zuma, lock up your setup, don't roam out too far because they will probably outgun you. But on a map like Compound, Zuma and Attach just can kind of roam free. The certain hills are a little bit more enclosed, so you're forced to fight them over and over again. Zuma's movement just works out perfectly. Dashes up and around corners. Attach we see once again over and over. Every hard point I've seen so far. Attach sits in the hill, focuses on 10, 11, 12 caps a game.
I went on with Attach here. I mean, he's had 2 gunfights the entire time on this hill.
Yep.
You haven't seen DT get close at all, and I think it's really a testament to how good Glacier and Enable are playing with the ballast on the outside. Something we really don't talk about is, I feel like, I mean, you played with Glacier before. I mean, we've both worked with him for a really long time. He is such a good safety net in the back with the AR that I feel like Zuma's playstyle is more effective now. Like, he's playing the same as he was earlier in the game, but his mistakes would really hinder the team. Now he has that safety valve, and it doesn't really hurt FaZe at all.
Exactly. The biggest thing I see from Clay and Enable is they are so good at knowing when to value their lives. They might not be getting all the kills all the time, but they do a lot of damage, preserve their lives. Their deaths are always a little bit lower, while Attach right now already at 12 and 6. He's just sitting pretty in the hill, doesn't have to fight people too often. We got the gamer tags figured out finally. Sender is rated, Aqua is Ivy, Diabolic is Formal, and Watson is a minus Yak with all those crazy numbers.
All right, well, now we can talk about how the players of DT are playing. Seems like Watson struggling a little bit. You know, came over from Europe. He was playing really well. In the EUC, and you can argue, you know, him and Swanee probably the best players. You know, Bals, very good Slayer. Comes over to NA. He's seen some success, you know, individually, but you know, playing against him, what does he have to do to really succeed here in North America?
It's going to be tough for him, honestly, especially, you know, first match coming in versus Faze. You got Clay and Enable to deal with, but Zuma and Attach are the ones that I've seen, especially yesterday, that are just turning up the noise. Clay and Enable haven't been doing bad by any means, but in comparison, good lord, look at once again, Zuma and Attach carrying in the kill column, getting all the time in the hill, and they just sort of take turns roaming in and out of the hill. If their teammates die, they know when to get aggressive and stall out time for their teammates. That's why they're able to just increase their lead so quickly in basically just one hill. The other team has to work so hard just to win those one or two gunfights. The contest is already there. It's just working like magic. Zuma with another two-piece to break into the hill. Enable flooding in once again. They have the bad spawns, but it doesn't matter. If you just kill them all, you can just set up and just rack up time.
They were able to break this setup of DT. DT climbing back a little bit into this game. You see Attach going to pick up one on the hill. Watson's going to fly in, pick up one. He's going to drop this fifth hill. So hard to get a lot of time on. Going to go back to the middle for the second rotation. It's going to be Faze up 152 to 73. Pretty big early lead, but with how bad DT started, they started to mount a little bit of a comeback there towards the later half of this game. Second half, what do you got to see for them to make it closer? You think they just need to kind of get hot going into this next game?
Overall, they're doing a really good job milking a lot of time on this hill in the middle, but basically they have to get that back yellow bridge control. If you don't have that second hard point, they're going to lose so much time on it. We saw on the first rotation, they didn't have control of it at all. Clayster and Enable just dominating this back bridge like we see Enable at once again. If you're not able to clear those players out, you're just forced into these tiny little alleys, lanes, just easy kills for Zoom and Attach to clean up, while the other one just sits in the hill.
And I jumped on with Watson because he was in such a difficult spot. He's all the way in the back just trying to put down cover fire with the AR, but his subs weren't getting close to the hill at all. Really not looking good for DT here. As you see, Faze going to rack up some more time. Hill's going to be rotating. It's going to be Watson with another teammate going to be going over there. It's going to be Ivy with him, and Ivy's a very talented player, sitting at 19 and 22, not having the best of games, but obviously when everybody's struggling, it's pretty hard to put up numbers. He's had a pretty good year, though, I would say, for AW. Yeah, he's had some pretty good performances.
Definitely one of those like top amateur players, if you like to call him that. Been improving a lot. DT, always that sort of contender that is just missing that one piece, I would say, to really break into that top pro tier. But overall, we see from Faze, the map's a little bit close, but it's more just scrap time going in. Faze always getting that early rotation. We see once again that DT is trapped in this tunnel side, not able to get around that spawn. Faze doing such a good job of pushing out the middle area and making sure that the front yellow is always contested. So much work needs to be done. Clay with a huge two-piece with that bow. Doesn't matter if he's close range, still puts in work, doesn't miss shots. And Faze once again taking that massive lead. It was a little bit close, but Faze is always setting up with that intro time and just rotating the right way. DT needs to take their time and go and try and get the good spawns for once.
It seems like DT has rotated to this third hill, which is good. If you're going to make a comeback, you got to make it on hills 3 and 4. On board with Enable, he's going to be trying to bring it from the outside. He's going to pick up one player in the hill, and just like that, Faze able to break it. Going to rack up some more points, and man, I feel like we've spoken so much about all the players on Faze minus Enable. I feel like Enable's really kind of filled in great. He can run an AR, run an SMG. He's just that overall player that I think everybody wants. Just a great veteran in competitive video games. Coming over from Halo, just has great leadership skills. Definitely a huge asset to this Faze squad.
Yeah, definitely sort of the undertone to this team that makes them so strong. Whenever you go on Enable, it feels like he just preserves his life for so long. Might not be getting a lot of kills on the board, but always doing damage, making sure that the enemies are looking at him, making him the priority target, but that's what makes Zuma and Attach so strong. 65 kills between the two of them, and most of the time, when you see Zuma running around, he's not taking damage. That's because Clay and Enable are always up top in a spot and need to be the first point of confrontation. That allows Zuma to drop basically 40 kills every single map we see in Respawn.
Essentially, and you have Ivy trying to defend off players from Faze here, attacking this fourth hard point. He's got Clay directly in front of him, one player underneath, and you'll see Faze do this. I mean, look at the mini-map, that they just pinch from every direction, and they take these hills back so easy. I definitely think the best hardpoint team in the game right now. This one,
easily,
not too close. It's going to be Faze winning this one. It's just a matter of when it happens, and just a dominant performance for them here in game 1 today.
Yep, Zuma with another 40, Kid's KD is off the charts right now. Has
Even
to be
Attach.
leading the back,
Attach is
but
31
Attach
and
too.
18.
Exactly. Not a lot of caps in this game, but the other hard points that have been a little bit closer. We see him, I saw him get 14 or 15 on a retreat, I believe. So those two just doing a really good job. Attach not having to do too much in the hill, but when it happens, he wins all his gunfights anyway. So
He's a monster in and around the hill. He's just a freak. It's going to be Faze winning 250-136.
Good stuff overall, man. Compound, I would have to say Faze is probably the best team at it. They know when to switch up to grenades. Not too many need to be happening right there, but that's because they're just so far ahead. DT not really getting any intro time on any of that hill. We saw a little bit on that third one, but instantly broke. Faze rotated from that tunnel side. Bow's got up top. Not too much you can do when you're spawning out.
Yeah, and right before the commercial break, we'll take a look at the scoreboard one more time. It's Zuma, 40-25. The guy's having...
Wow.
I mean, if he keeps on this pace, the only other event I can think of somebody having like this was probably Formal at G3.
Right.
It's
just unbelievable.
I mean, just
stats. Every
unreal
single match. I've casted
event.
every single Faze game so far. The kid impresses me more and more after each and every single game.
Then attached with a big game as well for Faze. But guys, that's map number 1 between Faze and DT. Search and Destroy coming up right after this.